The Sunday school lesson for tomorrow is lesson number 6, dated October the 9th, page 40. It's called The Superiority of Wisdom, and there's a story that goes with it, and it's taken from the book Echoes, Adult Large Print Comprehensive Bible Study, September through November 2011. And it's taken from the Progressive National Baptist Convention. And this particular book is talking about tradition and wisdom. Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, Song of Solomon, and Matthew. And tomorrow is October the 9th. Who knew Aunt Maggie had that much money? Exclaimed Stacy's sister, Belinda. Belinda, Stacy, and Hugh, their brother, had each inherited $75,000 from their Aunt Maggie. The siblings were on their way back from Aunt Maggie's attorney's office. The trio had lost their mother's only living sister a few weeks ago. Aunt Maggie's husband, Sherman, had preceded her in death 5 years before, and the couple had no children, and their mother had been dead for more than 10 years. "Party," Brenda said, bobbing her head and smiling while the car was stopped at a traffic light. "Finally, I can get a motorcycle," Hugh said, glaring at a couple roaring past on one. Stacy tried again to counsel her older brother and sister to invest a sizable portion and pay off creditors with much of the rest. That was the best way to handle coming into a large sum of money all at once. "Why? Creditors will always be there," Belinda said. "Besides, the economy is starting to turn around." "Still," Stacy said, "you want to make wise choices and investments with this money." But Belinda and Hugh had tuned Stacy out. Belinda had cranked up the car radio, and Hugh was in the back seat calling friends on his cell phone. Something to think about. These are 4 questions that are something for you to think about. Number 1, how do people demonstrate quiet wisdom? 2, what sorts of feelings are behind the tendency to talk loudly? 3, why can quiet wisdom have a longer lasting effect? 4, what is needed for people to be receptive to quiet wisdom? And the Bible verses that go with this: Ecclesiastes 9:13 through 14, the NIV version. But you're looking at the King James version, of course. But I'm going to read the NIV version. Ecclesiastes 9, verses 13 through 14. "I also saw under the sun this example of wisdom that greatly impressed me. There was once a small city with only a few people in it, and a powerful king came against it and surrounded it and built huge siege works against it. Continuing on, we're going to read the rest of the verses. The next set of verses are wisdom versus strength. "Now there lived in that city a man poor but wise, and he saved the city by his wisdom. But nobody remembered that poor man. So I said, wisdom is better than strength. But the poor man's wisdom is despised, and his words are no longer heeded. That comes from Ecclesiastes 9, verses 15 through 16, the NIV version. And now we go to the next section, wisdom versus war. Ecclesiastes chapter 9, verse 17 through 18. The NIV version reads, "The quiet words of the wise are more to be heeded than the shouts of a ruler of fools. Wisdom is better than weapons of war, but one sinner destroys much good." This is the Ecclesiastes chapter 9, verses 17 through 18, the NIV version. Let's turn this page. Recognizing quiet wisdom. I'll read the first paragraph. The so-called wisdom of the world would say that a large army would conquer a small town. Worldly wisdom would say that one wise man who kept that from happening should be elected mayor. In today's passage, neither of these things happened. Quiet wisdom operates on God's radar screen, but often below human radar detection. That's because quiet wisdom doesn't gather attention around itself. It may not look strong, loud, compelling, charismatic. It often comes in quiet words from the unexpected people who may be poor or unknown or younger, maybe even a child or teenager. To find wisdom and discern what true wisdom we often need to look for it. This means it may not appear so much in a best-selling book as in an old book you read years ago. We'll know its wisdom because it rings true of good judgment, understanding, discretion, and insight. We'll recognize it in the sensible person who recognizes most worthwhile goals and best means to meet these goals. Who knows how to correct what is wrong or make the best of a difficult or limited situation? Yet this person may not be flashy or witty. In fact, a person of quiet wisdom will know how to keep passions under control. There will be no arrogance, but a quiet moral virtue that results in right living. Some people are able to reflect profoundly on people and events and to make conclusions not only for that situation, but of universal value. And the last paragraph goes exploring next steps. God gives wisdom to those who ask. James 1:5. Studying Scripture and quiet contemplation with devoted believers could be a place to start. Also, a prayer to God for His quiet wisdom might be something like this. All-wise God, I haven't always shown discernment and depth of insight. I need your help to grow in your ways. Please show me my next step in growing in your quiet wisdom. Then they ask you to list here 3 avenues you might explore as next steps in seeking to know God and His quiet wisdom. The key Sunday school verse was, "Then said I, wisdom is better than strength. Nevertheless, the poor man's wisdom is despised, and his words are not heard." Ecclesiastes 9:16, King James Version. The NIV version says, "So I said, wisdom is better than strength, but the poor man's wisdom is despised, and his words are no longer heeded." Ecclesiastes verse 9:16, NIV version. Thank you very much for listening to excerpts from the Sunday school lesson. And now it's time to practice my piano lesson. This particular book is Bartók, the first book for pianists, by Willard A. Palmer, editor. And we have a wonderful photograph of Mr. Bartók on the front of the book. This is what I learned my little lessons from. And let me find the page that I'm supposed to be practicing. I don't even know where it is. I think it's page 14. Let's try. Yes, it is. Page 14. And this is called A Magic Dance. And it's an old Hungarian tune that was originally sung to strange syllables which were supposed to cast a magic spell over the dancers. Carefully observe the slurs, the portatos, the staccatos, and tenutos. Oh well, I'm not sure I pronounced that right. Review Bartók's instructions for these effects on pages 1 and 24. Staccato double notes and chords are played with wrist staccato. Single notes with finger staccato. And there we have a magic dance. That's what I'm going to be playing. A Magic Dance by Bartók. And so you have it. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Over and out.